Hello everyone and welcome back. On this video we're going to do something really cool. I'm going to take one single sample and then I'm going to create 3 different instruments using 3 different engines in HALion 6, and more specifically the sample engine, the grain engine and the wavetable engine. So basically 3 forms of sound design, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to do all these things in HALion 6. Let's get started. So here we go. As you can see, I have a fresh instance of HALion 6 and I also have my sample right here. This is a vocal sample that comes from the Soulful Pop library, and let's listen to it.
Up to you to make your dreams come true.
Perfect. So let's get started. The first thing that I want to do is I'm going to go to my program table here and I'm going to drag a program into our slot track. I'm doing this because I want to have a brand new initialized program for HALion. And in order to do this, I'm going to right click here and select Initialize Program. HALion pretty much does everything for me. As you can see, we have the program, and inside the program we have the layers. So every layer can have zones. In this case, what HALion does when you initialize a program is it gives you a synth zone. With a synth zone, you can create basically your own synthesizers. But in this case, for this video, I'm not going to use the synth zone because we're going to work with the samples. So instead, I'm going to go to Edit and I'm going to go to Zone, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to switch to a completely different engine. As you can see, here is my zone type, and right now we are on synth zone. Let's turn it to sample. So this is basically the fundamentals of what HALion can do. It's a sampler, right? So in order to start working with this sample, all I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this sample and drop it into the sample oscillator page here. And that's it. Now I can immediately play it on the keyboard.
Up to you to make your dreams come true.
Up to you.
And this is the most basic function that you can do with HALion. Use it as a sampler. And it's a very good sampler, by the way. You can do everything you want. You can map, you can do multi-samples, you can do anything that you want. You can do scripting. I'm not gonna go into this today, but let me go to our sample page now. And as you can see, it all makes sense. You know, you have your zone tab, and then if you want to go to your mapping, you have your mapping, and if you want to go to your sample page, you have your sample page. And here you can do quite a few things. You can normalize, you can even trim the sample. Let's say I want to just choose my endpoint to be here, for example. I can now go and trim it. And now,
up to you.
Up to you. Up to you. Up to you.
Very simple, but it's really useful. You don't have to go into an external editor and do all these things. Now, let's go and start playing with this sample, shall we? I'm going to go to Zone, and one of the really cool things that you can do with HALion is that you can use the audio warp feature. And this algorithm is great if you want to avoid this thing. Check it out.
Up to you.
See?
Up to you.
All different samples that I play on my keyboard, they're stretched depending on the pitch. So this is
up to you
normal, and if I go higher,
up to you,
it's much faster, right?
Up to you.
Okay, you know what I mean. If you activate the audio warp, and in this case I'm going to set it to solo because it's a solo instrument, it's a vocal.
Up to you.
Up to you. Up to you.
Okay, immediately
up to you.
You can play all the notes with the same sample length. Now, if you want to get the best results, it's really important that you play with these 2 parameters right here. But if you don't want to start looking for what's the best settings, you can go here in this drop-down menu and select a preset. In this case, guess what? I'm going to select solo voice, and this will work really great for this kind of material.
Up to you. 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 Up to you.
And if I change the key follow,
Up to you.
Up to you. Up to
Up to you. Up to
Up to you.
so now I can play harmonies.
Up to you. Up to you. Up to you. Up to you.
Very cool. Now, another thing that I really love when I'm sound designing is the format parameter right here, because you can do these things.
Up to you.
So what I like to do is right click, learn CC, and I'm assigning it to the mode wheel.
Up to you. Up to you.
And I think I'm gonna go like this with a key follow.
Up to you. Up to you.
I can change the speed if I want to.
Up to you. Up to you.
I can even activate legato, which allows me to do this.
Up to you. Up to you.
So I can play notes in legato and it won't re-trigger the sample. In this case, I'm not gonna use this, but let's try and create something interesting. Why don't we try and create like a vocal plug sound? Let me show you some things that you can do. First, I'm going to activate a filter. As you can see, here is our filter section. It's all in one page. You don't have to try and find all these things. If you want to do sound design, pretty much everything you need is in the zone tab, right? So I'm going to go to my filter and activate the classic filter. And here we have an XY pad, see?
Up to you.
Which is really, really useful if you want to, you know, do very quick changes for your filter. You can also have, you know, multiple filters in this same XY.
Up to you.
So you can have a filter on the A, B, C, and D, and then you can morph between all these filters. For now, I think I'm gonna keep it simple.
Up to you. To you.
Okay?
Up, 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 up.
I think I'm going to reduce this sample. I think I'm gonna start, let's see, here. You know what? Let's activate this snap to zero crossing so we don't get those clicks. Perfect. Let's go back to our zone. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the cutoff and add a bit of envelope amount. Now, you might say, okay, where's the envelope? Where's the filter envelope? Well, it's right here. Filter. See? And now I can even sync this to my tempo. Okay? Now let's try and make this really short, like a plug sound. And of course I can have these curves as well. Maybe like that. Nice. See, it already sounds like a plug sound. Nice. Okay, now what else can we do? Let's make this super wide, shall we? There's a nice trick that you can do in HALion to make sound super wide. If you go to the top of the page, you will find a unison mode. Okay, let's click on that and activate it. And now you can select voices. Let's go for 4 voices, detune a little bit, and delay it and pan them. Okay, check it out. Without it. So immediately you get this resonance. Let's activate the velocity as well. Okay, nice. I like this. Now, why don't we go and add some effects? I'm going to go to my layer bus. You will see it here. It has this little fader icon. Click on this. And now I'm going to go to my sound page. And here you will find your insert effects slots. Let's go and add a nice delay. Let's say go for the multi-delay. I always like to go for ping pong. Just change the left-right balance. And what about a nice spacey lush reverb? Let's go and add a reverb now. Reverb. HALion has a really nice reverb. I'm going to go all the way to tail. I don't need the early reflections for this one. Increase the time, make it really long. Let's open this hi-hat. Let these high frequencies come out and let's see how it sounds now. Very nice. And now I'm going to play with a format with my mod wheel. The format almost acts like a filter, by the way. And from here on, I can keep on, adding more filters. Maybe I might want to add an LFO, add more envelopes, maybe a pitch envelope, all these things. But now let's move on to the second engine, which is the grain engine, and let's see what we can do with that. In order to do this, I'm going to keep this here. I don't want to lose this. So I'm going to go for a second program, drag and drop it. I'm going to mute the previous one, initialize this one, and let's call this sample. And this one, let's call it rename grain. So we keep all our sounds there. Okay, and now let's play. Again, same story. This is now a synth zone. I'm going to turn it into grain. And now we have our granular synthesizer that's built into HALion. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to take this sample, drag it in here, and now we have it into the granular synthesizer. So let's see how it sounds. And immediately you have a sound that resembles nothing from the original sample. I'm going to normalize this a little bit. And I'm going to show you what you can do with this. Let's start from here. You can see I can play with the position. Let's start here. Let's see. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the number of grains. Let's try that. Actually, I really like this. I don't know what is it about this grain engine, but immediately when you do this, I find this very interesting. Okay, let's make this a little bit louder. I'm going to go here and add a little bit of level to my amp. Nice. And now let's try and play with these parameters, right? So let's see if we can change the duration, what happens. The granular synth is amazing for soundscapes and stuff like this. Let me show you. Let's go here. Why don't we try and create like a pad or like a choir pad kind of sound? The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to my envelope here and I'm going to maybe add a filter to begin with. Let's go for this Waldorf filter this time, okay? And I'm going to reduce the cutoff, add a little bit of envelope, and let's go to the filter here and open it a little bit and make the attack slower. Almost, I mean, you can create some very interesting mellotron type sounds like this, but let's keep working this. Okay, I want some release. Let's go to our amp envelope, add a little bit of release, like that. And maybe a slower attack as well. Right, and why don't we try and play with the length? You know, you give a little bit of unpredictability to the sound. Now I can also change the direction, which means that the grains will kind of follow a specific direction. In this case, I want to go minus, which means they will go backwards. But I can also go forward like this. And I can change the speed. Maybe I want to have a very slow speed so that the sound evolves while we hit the key pressed. And I can make it completely otherworldly as well. Let's go for the pitch here. You can create some really nice aleatoric effects like this. But I mean, let's spread the duration a little bit. Nice. I'm going to go and have the amp even like that. Nice. Let's go and add a nice reverb. Let's go to layer, and I'm going to go here like I did before and add maybe something else. Why don't we go and add maybe, let's see, this whole reverb. So let's try it now. So it's almost like a Gregorian chant now. Let's try this. Maybe I want to add a little bit of resonance to this filter. I'm going to tweak that filter envelope a little bit. I want to have like a nice slower ramp and maybe something like that. Yes, let's try this. And maybe I also want to add a nice chorus. And now let's try and play with a number of voices. You know, and if I want to, I can go ahead and add a pitch LFO, for example. Let me show you how you do this actually. It's very, very simple. Again, you just have to scroll a little bit lower and you will find our LFO. We have two LFOs, as you can see, 1, 2. And the way you assign it to something is you go down to your modulation matrix. Of course, HALion is a very, very deep synthesizer, so everything is in one page, but you know, you have all the options right there. So I'm going to go here, source, I'm going to go LFO1 and assign it to pitch. And now I can say how much, like this. And let's go a little bit faster. Nice. Of course, if I want to add a modifier, I can say this is my mode wheel, okay? So with the same exact sample, we came to a completely different sound. Let's go for the Wavetable synthesizer now. Let's drag a new program here, initialize it, and let's call it Wavetable. And you've guessed it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my zone and switch it to Wavetable. That's it. And Wavetable synthesis allows you to do so many different things. When you're working with vocal samples like that, you can create some really interesting vocoder-like effects. Let me show you. I'm going to go to my Wavetable right here. So you can see that every time it's a different tab arrangement depending on what engine you have on. So let's go to Wavetable and drag and drop this Wavetable here. That's it. Let me explain how you can start treating your samples when you use them as wavetables. Okay, now you can select the position first. Okay, even this gives you a very interesting result, even with the same vocal sample. But let's see what we can do. The thing is, I'm going to go to the beginning. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add more markers so that we have this wavetable that morphs. Okay, let's go like this. And as you can see, HALion adds the markers for you.
Up to you. Up to you.
Up to you. Up to you.
Okay, and there are different ways that you can add markers. You can have different modes. This is the equal distance, which means all the markers are going to be in the same exact distance. But you can also select exponential. This is great if you have sounds that have a very distinctive attack, and then they have a decay.
Up to you.
This is not the case for this one. For this sound, I would probably go for something like spectral, and I'll show you why.
Up to you.
Okay?
Up to you. Up to you. Up
Or I would go for the spectral voiced.
to you.
Up to you.
Okay? You can see that HALion has a clever algorithm and it detects the markers depending on the material. So spectral,
Up to you.
Up to you. Up to you.
and of course, feel free to use your ears because something that is technically wrong might sound better or more interesting to you. So
Up to you. Up to you.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to normalize this. I'm going to go here and normalize the wave.
Up to you.
Up to you. Up to you.
Okay, very, very interesting. Already we have a sound that's like a synthetic vocoder kind of sound, like a robotic sound, okay? Of course, what I can do is I can see my wavetable in 3D mode,
Up to you. Up to you.
and I can go
Up to you.
2D as well. But let's go to our zone.
Up to you.
Up to you. Up to you.
And now let's try and edit this. I'm going to go and play a little bit with my favorite parameter when it comes to the wavetable synthesizer, and that's the format. This allows you to create some really nice sounds. Especially for really aggressive basses and leads and all these things. So I'm going to go and assign it to my mod wheel. I mean, this already sounds like a nice bass sound. Now, if you want a little bit of low end, I'll show you what you can do. You can go to the sub section right here and activate your sub oscillator, and this will give you a nice beefy sound. You know, it's so much fun, and I haven't even done anything to this, you know. Let's activate the multi-oscillator that we have right here. And now things are going to become really nice and wide. Let's check it out. And you know, the spread can do some interesting things because it delays the oscillators. Legato. Why don't we add a filter? I want to take advantage of this tube drive. You know, I'm going to turn down the release here. Let's play with the mod wheel. I love this. Check it out. So to recap, one sample, 3 engines. Let's listen to them again. Sample. Granular. Wavetable. And that's how you can turn a simple sample into great instruments in HALion 6. Needless to say, we just scratched the surface of what HALion 6 can do. It's a true sound design powerhouse. And you can imagine if you start combining all these different engines in layers, you can come up with some really, really cool sounds. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I hope you found it useful, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.